Chapter 1, Lesson 1 notes. What is health? Essentially, we're going to answer this question throughout the course of this semester, but it starts with defining what health is and the influences that shape your health every single day. There's no doubt our behaviors, our choices are the things that have the biggest impact on our health, and we're going to look at how we can take control of those type of decisions, really, hopefully, for the rest of our life. What are some characteristics of healthy people? What I want you to do real quickly here is to think about someone in your life that you would say is a healthy person. And I want you to think of the reasons why this person comes to mind. In your Cornell notes packet at the bottom, there's a summary section. I'd like you to write 3 to 4 different characteristics of what you think a healthy person is. If there's somebody in your life that you can use as an example, please do. But come up with 3 to 4 examples of what makes somebody healthy. Give you some time right now. All right, hopefully you have at least a few examples down. We all have a different perception of what it means to be healthy, and different people that exemplify that term healthy in our own minds. Taking charge of your health. You're at an age as a teenager where you want to be able to take charge of the things you do in your life, whether it's choosing the foods you eat, the people you hang out with, the activities you're a part of, the clothes you wear, etc. All can have an impact on your health. And we have to start by looking at what the definition of health is. It's the combination of your physical, mental, emotional, and social well-being. You know, a moment ago I asked you to write down a couple examples of what you think a healthy person is, and most people tend to think of just the physical body of a person, what we can see when that person walks into a room. But it's much more than that. Mental, emotional, and social well-being are things we're going to cover here as we go forward, but we know that there are people who may look healthy on the outside, but maybe aren't healthy on the inside. And our whole purpose of looking at this definition is to gain knowledge and skills to take charge of your health for a lifetime, to be able to identify the ups and downs of life, and to ultimately, again, take charge of your own health. In order for us to fully understand the definition of health, we have to look at it, all 3 areas that make up that definition, and it's a real balance amongst all 3 of these. You know, our first one here is physical health, all about how well your body functions and how the body systems work together. We are talking about you physically, what we can see and what we can study or a doctor can look at in terms of who you are. But there's a lot more to it than that with mental, emotional health and social health. Again, we can look at somebody and say, hey, their body is healthy. They are free of disease. They exercise. They eat right. Those are things that make up what your body is. However, somebody can be physically healthy, but mentally and emotionally can be a wreck, can have some downfalls. And I think we all know people like that. Mental and emotional health is a reflection of how you feel about yourself, how you meet the demands of your daily life, and how you cope with the problems that occur in life. We all know there's ups and downs. There's things that are going to cause people to be upset. I think many of you know somebody in your life who doesn't handle stressful situations very well. But on the flip of that coin, many of you know people who can seemingly encounter challenges in their daily life and have no problem and not get too worked up about it. You know, every day we have things that are unexplained or we didn't anticipate to happen that can throw off our rhythm and upset us. And our mental and emotional health is incredibly important that we keep that under control and keep that balanced. Your social health is the way you get along with others and how well you communicate with people. You come in contact with a ton of people throughout the course of your day, especially if you're going to school. And we need to get along or at least be civil with the people around us. But that includes our family, that includes our close friends, our neighbors, all those people that we are friendly with, that we know their names, that we communicate with on a daily basis. And we know those aren't always going to be positive interactions. So we need to be able to have a strong social health to balance out the 2 other areas in our total health and make this foundation of health being a balance in our lives. let's take a little deeper look at our physical health. There are 5 tips to physical health that we really need to be working on a day-to-day basis. The first one is getting 8 to 10 hours of sleep each night. Now, as teenagers, studies will show that you need more sleep than the average adult. You're growing, you're in this adolescent phase, and in order for your bodies to grow and develop the best way they can, they need to get extra rest. Well, we also know that most teenagers are staying up later than they need to and are talking on their cell phones, texting, watching TV, maybe even doing homework and not going to bed at a reasonable hour to be able to wake up the next day and go to school. 8 hours would be, if for someone who has to get up at 6 a.m. to go to school, would be going to bed at 10 p.m. And we know people aren't going to sleep at that hour, or they're in their bed with their cell phone texting or talking on the phone. In order to get restful sleep, we're talking about lights out, cell phone away, TV off, homework away, in order to get good restful sleep. Eating nutritious meals and drinking 8 cups of water each day. Water is something that most people, including teenagers, don't drink enough of. We know that there are the caffeinated beverages, sodas, energy drinks, other things that are out there that people think is satisfying their thirst, when truly water or maybe Gatorade when we're active is something that we should be having, as opposed to some of the other beverages people enjoy. We all should be engaging in 30 to 60 minutes of physical activity every day. Those of you who are in sports or active, you may be doing this already, but we know as life goes on, as life gets busier, especially beyond high school, it becomes more and more difficult, especially if you're working a job or raising children or whatever it is, to get that 30 to 60 minutes in every single day. We should also be avoiding the use of tobacco, alcohol, and other drugs. All these chemicals are things that can have a negative impacts on our bodies physically right away. There are mental, emotional, and social impacts as well, but we know that these can simply harm the body, and we're going to spend some time talking about all of these throughout this semester. And of course, we need to bathe daily and floss and brush your teeth every day. Just the little things that can avoid an extra trip to the dentist, the doctor, or any extra aches or pains, especially as a result of poor hygiene. We just know that we can keep ourselves clean, we can keep ourselves healthy. Taking a deeper look at our mental emotional health, there are definitely a bunch of characteristics of mentally and emotionally healthy people that are out there. Number one, enjoy challenges. Knowing that unanticipated things are going to happen in our day, in our lives, and be able to kind of roll with the punches, so to speak. We know that the alarm clock's going to go off every day. That's not a challenge. That's something that you set. But maybe when you burn your breakfast, or you're late for the bus, or you're late for school, knowing that doesn't have to ruin your day. We have to overcome those and be ready to mentally take those on. Number two, accept responsibilities for their actions. Ultimately, our choices, our decisions really have the biggest impact on the things that happen to us every day. And the more that we accept that we have control over that, the better off we're going to be mentally and emotionally. And this goes into the third one, having a sense of control over their lives. We know that our decisions can affect who we are and what happens to us every day. And that is a big part of life. And it's also a big responsibility that can be really, really important. People can express their emotions in appropriate ways. We know there's some people who, with stress, can lead to anger, can lead to depression, things like that. Hopefully people can manage their emotions in positive ways so they don't get to the point where other people are hurt or affected because of their emotions. We're all going to have ups and downs, but we want to be able to express those in an appropriate way, and can usually deal with life stresses and frustrations that goes along with it. Again, we know there's ups and downs, and it's okay to be sad. It's okay to be upset once in a while, but we can't let that control who we are for the remainder of the day, the remainder of our life, whatever it might be. We certainly want to have a positive outlook, the glass half full type of a analogy, and hopefully continue a positive day, week, month, year, that type of outlook. And certainly want to make thoughtful and responsible decisions. All kind of rolls together about the decisions we make, the choices that we partake in, ultimately can affect who we are mentally and emotionally. The third area of health is social health. taking a look here, we have some tips for maintaining healthy relationships to care for your social health. And this is just a few easy ones. We certainly know the list could be longer than this. We all probably have people in our lives that we can seek out and lend support when needed. That kind of that shoulder to cry on, that person to talk to, or even that person to seek advice from when things aren't going the way you need to. It's always nice to have a personal contact, someone that can, listen to us, or we can listen to them in that time of need. Certainly, we want to communicate clearly and listen to others. Kind of goes along with it. I think we've all been in an argument with a parent, a friend, some sort of relationship where the message wasn't clearly communicated, and it kind of further muddied the waters and made things a little bit more difficult to communicate. And certainly, we want to show respect and care for yourself and others. Uh, if people know that you are down on yourself, they might leave you alone. It might cause you a little bit more loneliness. We certainly want to have a mutual respect amongst our friends, peers, and family. Now, putting all three of these together, we get the health triangle. I used the word balance earlier to describe the importance of having a strong level of health in all three areas. The three elements of health are interconnected. One is certainly going to affect the other and affect the third. To truly be healthy, you must maintain balance in all three areas. We know that if physically something happens to our bodies, whether we get sick, a disease, an illness, break a bone, whatever, there's a good chance that it's going to mentally and emotionally upset us, and certainly could affect our social relationships if we're unable to be around the people that we enjoy and love on a day-to-day basis. And that's an easy example, but certainly it can be much deeper than that. Ultimately, we're looking for wellness. It's an overall state of well-being or total health. I would say it's having a high level of health in all three areas. It's one thing to say you're healthy physically, but we certainly want to be healthy mentally, emotionally, and socially as well to say that we have wellness. Maybe when somebody says, "Hey, how are you doing today?" you say, "I'm doing well." You don't stop and think, "How am I doing in all three areas?" But hopefully, if you're truly answering that question honestly, you are healthy in physical health, mental, emotional health, and social health. Wrapping up this discussion on health, we can use something called the health continuum to really analyze or evaluate where we are every single day in terms of our total health. What we have here is two arrows going in opposite directions with a neutral area right in the middle. Most of us hang around the neutral center day in and day out. But when things are going really well, we move to the right side of the continuum where we have improved health and wellness. We want to work toward a high level of health where we have energy, we're feeling well, we have a total well-being because all three areas of our health are strong. If things aren't going well, we're having a bad day, we can certainly move to the left side. Or maybe we're sick, we're hurt, we're ill. We certainly could be moving toward what would be a premature death, which could result from a disease, an illness, or something like that. We practice healthy habits to avoid chronic disease or an ongoing condition or illness such as heart disease, obesity, or cancer, things that can certainly take us out of this world earlier than they should or what we're expected to. Again, it's our choices, the decisions we make ultimately can lead us to a longer, healthier life. And that's something we should be striving for every single day.